cars in American automotive history have been surrounded by as much controversy as the Ford Pinto. Introduced in 1970, the Pinto was Ford's answer to the growing demand for subcompact economy cars, offering a simple, no-frills mode of transportation at an incredibly low starting price of $1,900. It wasn't a head-turner, nor was it quick off the line. But that didn't stop Jack Stratton from recognizing potential in the unassuming Pinto, seeing in it a rare opportunity for performance innovation. Stratton understood that the Pinto would never be a fire-breathing V8 powerhouse, but his vision led him down a path that resulted in something far beyond the factory stock Model A car, capable of outperforming the Datsun 240Z and even giving Porsche 914 seconds a run for their money. Jack Stratton, the man behind this remarkable transformation, wasn't just an ordinary car dealer. As the general sales manager at Huntington Ford in California, Stratton was not only deeply involved in the business but also a passionate innovator and performance enthusiast. During an era when traditional American muscle cars were struggling under the weight of rising insurance costs and stricter emissions regulations, Stratton chose a different approach. Instead of chasing diminishing V8 performance, he embraced the shift toward lighter, more efficient vehicles. And with Ford's Pinto as his blank canvas, he set out to redefine what a compact American car could be. While most viewed the Pinto as nothing more than an economical commuter car, its lightweight construction, just 2,000 pounds, made it one of the lightest American cars of its time, even lighter than the Chevy Vega. Its 94-inch wheelbase was shorter than a Ford Mavericks, meaning that with the right modifications, this otherwise lackluster vehicle had the potential to become a nimble corner carver. Stratton envisioned the Pangra not only as a performance benchmark for American compacts but also as a contender against imported sports cars. However, making the Pinto competitive required more than just cutting weight. It needed a complete aesthetic and mechanical overhaul to be taken seriously. The first order of business was its styling. Stratton enlisted fiberglass specialist Bob Crow to design a radically new front end that would dramatically alter the Pinto's otherwise forgettable appearance. Gone was the mundane stock fascia, replaced with an aggressive, Corvette-inspired shark nose design. This transformation included pop-up headlights, controlled by a hand lever, sculpted fenders, and a sleeker, more angular silhouette. The modification extended the front end by a full 10 inches, completely changing the car's proportions. With its bumpers removed, the Pangra no longer looked like a budget-friendly grocery getter. It exuded performance. While the rear doors and quarter panels remained largely stock, the real magic happened underneath. The economy car suspension required a complete revamp to provide the necessary grip and handling prowess. Stratton collaborated with Coney to develop a specialized handling package featuring custom valve shocks, a 2-inch drop, 7-inch wide, magnesium wheels, and revised suspension geometry. These upgrades transformed the Pangra into a legitimate performance machine, allowing it to dart through corners with impressive precision. A period-correct Huntington Ford brochure claimed that the Pangra could achieve 0.874 Gs on a skid pad, surpassing the Porsche 914 and Datsun 240Z, which both managed around 0.73 Gs. Love it or hate it, the Pangra had some serious handling credentials for its time. With the chassis dialed in, the only thing left was to inject some real power into the lightweight frame. The stock Pinto engine, a humble 2-liter inline-4, was never meant for high performance, struggling to push past 90 horsepower on a good day. But rather than cramming a heavy V8 under the hood and upsetting the car's balance, Stratton pursued a more sophisticated solution: turbocharging. To achieve this, he partnered with A.K. Miller, a well-respected tuner known for his pioneering turbocharger work in the 1970s. Together, they outfitted the 2 SOHC 4-cylinder with an SOHC A-research turbocharger that fed through a 2-barrel carburetor. This setup nearly doubled the stock horsepower output, taking it from a sluggish 90 horsepower to an impressive 175 horsepower. This wasn't just an off-the-shelf turbo kit. It was a carefully engineered system designed to maximize power while maintaining reliability. Running at 10 pounds per square inches of boost, the turbocharger benefited from a lowered 7-to-1 compression ratio. making the engine more boost-friendly. A water injection system was also integrated to help manage cylinder pressures and prevent detonation, a necessity for long-term durability. Impressively, the Pangra remained fully EPA compliant, a feat that similar turbocharged builds, such as the Yenko Turbo Vega, failed to achieve. The result? A 0 to 60 miles per hour's time of just 7.5 seconds and a quarter-mile sprint in the low 15 seconds, outpacing both the 240Z and the Porsche 914. Not bad for a Pinto, right? The Pangra was sold through Huntington Ford from 1972 to 1973 with a unique purchasing model. Buyers could choose between a fully assembled, turnkey Pangra, complete with Recaro seats and a custom dashboard for around $5,000, or they could opt for one of 3 DIY kits to modify their own Pinto at home. The first option was the Level 1 kit, which included the fiberglass front fascia and cost $600. This kit was sold unpainted and allowed customers to install the new look themselves. The Level 2 kit focused on handling improvements, featuring the full Pangra Can-Am suspension package, including lowering springs, Koni shocks, and sway bars, for just under $1,000. The final and most expensive kit, priced at $1,691, was the powertrain package, which included the turbocharger, water injection system, exhaust manifold, header pipe, crossover, pipe, and all necessary mounting hardware. Customers could mix and match these kits to build their own Pangra, though the dealership-exclusive dashboard was never made available for purchase, ensuring that the factory-built versions remained unique. These kits were compatible with both hatchback and wagon Pintos, as the modifications primarily affected the front end. Despite its potential, the Pangra was produced in extremely limited numbers. Somewhere between 20 and 50 fully built examples left the dealership, with possibly over 100 kits sold to DIY enthusiasts. Today, only a handful of Pangras, in both kit and factory-built form, are known to exist. So, if you ever come across a Pinto that looks a little different at a car show, take a closer look. It might just be a Pangra, one of the most unexpected, yet capable performance cars of its era. Let me know in the comments if you'd ever heard of this car before watching this video. I'd love to know. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Until next time, enthusiasts.